Eh, eh, Chrysanthemum is you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for taking this time to listen to another edition of Richard's Rant. As I remind you, the morning is that part of the day when nothing has gone wrong and you haven't used any of those contingency plans. Nobody vex your spirit. Nobody force you to have to sing Patrice Robert, change your ways. You know, you're in a good place that first step in the morning, and that's just the energy and the sentiment that I always wish that we know we could have all the time. But I'm a bit of a ass, so I actually believe that people are inherently good just because I am. No, not tooting my own horn. I'm a jackass. That kind of person that would have 25 cents and try to break it in two. Or if I can't share it, I'll give it away to somebody. That kind of asshole behavior. So the newspaper does always intrigue me. That's and well, now it intrigues you because of uh, I don't know. I don't know. I feel I'll start off a little light. It had some ugly people in the newspaper today, and I feel sorry for them because I don't judge people on the looks or the physical appeal that God give them. Maybe the way you carry it, yeah, I would judge you for that because it gives me a sense of your style, your taste, how you view yourself, and your decision making process. And if you made that decision to leave home to be among people, either you don't care about people or you don't care about you, depending, either way, yeah, I'll judge you for that. But if it is, you fall out, your mother could slap us ugly. It's about your character, right? But if it is I'm editing in the newspaper, oh gum, I would. All right. So what happened is that since I started doing this podcast, the algorithms and whatnot. So I getting all this information about podcasts and how to make your podcast good, and I only take one or two ideas. I actually get most of the ideas and concepts from your feedback instead, which is usually positive, and I really appreciate that. Sometimes it could be, sometimes it's what's it with a catapult forward with things that I could do, can do, whatever. But for the most part, it's positive. Sometimes it's corrections for whatever nonsense I may have said. But nothing that actually has taken away from the main point that I was making. 'Cause I remember one was the Queen Man. I keep mixing up his name with his son or whatever, but I was talking about the Queen Man and I said the Queen Man in it, and I still have to do a little more research on COVID vaccine as to this RNA, not RNA, what it mean, and the length of time it took Bill Gates to come up with the vaccine. And apparently there's some information on Gates saying that the world is overpopulated and somebody needs to step in. So, yeah, I was enthusiastic when that listener shared that information with me, and I have to go into that. But yeah, so in listening to what Google's sending to me to improve the podcasts, or at least skimming it, I did listen to one, and this guy said that he was a perfectionist, and it took him more than a year to start his podcast. He's like one of the biggest in the dance right now. But he's also been doing it for 12 years. So that gave me an idea as to what a trip and fall into, because I actually do like doing it. So I would I think it would be amazing, and it's not even. You see, the stupid thing with me is because I'm not a person that talks bad about myself or other people. So, you beat up yourself. I just talk facts. It's a stupid thing. So, the stupid thing about this, or my feeling about it, is that it still blows my mind that people would listen to me, or anybody else for that matter, when it's a normal thing. You listen to comedians, you listen to reporters, you listen to a bunch of people on the TV talking a bunch of other crap. We basically sit down and watch and listen to people. And it's like, he did this for 12 years. Oh my God. There are TV shows on the air for 10 years. There are talk show programs on the air for decades. So there are soap operas on the air for decades. So, I mean, of course, he could do this long term, and it's like, poof. But this guy said that he would listen back to the interviews before he posts them, and he does his own production and all of that. Unlike me, I needed a team. I high maintenance. I needed a team. I need assistance. If it is I doing it by myself, then I would just feel sad, and the energy would be different, and I wouldn't want to do it, quite frankly. And I hope never to have to give it up because of that. Because I'm 90% sure I would if I have to do it alone. So, but he does his thing alone, mainly because he's a perfectionist. And he talk about how he grew up and all that, with mommy and punishing him. If he get 97% in tests, he used to have a meeting with his parents to go over the mistakes that he made and how he's going to recover that 3% in the next test. So if I get 97% in a test, I think I've done with school altogether. I ready to graduate. So that's the differences. So he did an interview and he found the interview was shitty. The guests and his energy didn't really gel and he found it wasn't entertaining to listen to. So he called the guest and he said he didn't tell them that. But I guess the guest may know now because he said it in another podcast. But he called the guest and he said, this is the idea that I wanted for the podcast. But you said this one thing in the podcast that changed everything for me. And if it's okay with you, I would really like to do it over. But around this thing that you said instead, because I think it's way better. And the person was flattered that they said something that could have such a big impact on him that they want to do it over, and they came. As opposed to saying the podcast was shit. Now, I think that that is the way that we should always talk to people. It could be deemed manipulative, but I deem it respectful and sensitive to how the person may feel. Now, there's a big difference between lying, in my opinion, and, you know, cushioning a statement. And the method that they teach you in school, the sandwich method, is bullshit. Anybody just see it right through that. But what he actually did, he told the truth and left out what the person didn't need to know. And I think that that is something we should learn, as if it is we respect the person that we want, or if it is we be responsible and we plan our interactions, our communications, our activities from a point of where we would like it to be. So we'd only be saying and doing things or creating things that would get us to the point that we would like to be. Of course, you shouldn't be conceited and think that you have all the information where you are now and this is where you want to be. You should always have checks and balances and stop and think about everything, what you learn, and reevaluate, maybe reposition yourself and reposition the destination as well. But whatever action should be with the destination in mind. So that was fantastic how he did that. And all of this was to come back to the ugly people in the newspaper. Because if I'm an editor and that is the photo you send for me, I would tell you, I saw another photo of you that I think would just look better on the print. You know how print could be and it's not real paper, something like that. But they just print these ugly ass. And you know why it is? Because I saw one and I said, oh, you're being ridiculous. But then I saw another one. The Bankers Association of Trinidad and Tobago celebrating women and something. I didn't even read the article because it had women of only their face, various ethnicities, various looks, various deportments. So, some of them had a little weave, some had a little extension, some of them was natural, some of them the haircuts, wherever. But one of those faces was not like the other. Actually, two, but the other one, I found her very appealing. She was an older woman, I hope, or she aging real bad. And her face position was up, not down. as opposed to the other people trying to look cute, her face was like Dame picture. Kind of remind me of when it is in the, I think it's the devil, no, it's not the Devil Wear Prada, one of them chick flicks. God, I would have watched this years ago, when I was in, never mind, but I would have watched this years ago. Karim, I think it was Three Women or Little Women, something so. But one of the lead actresses, I think it was Little Women. It's possible it was Little Women. It's a chick flick, right? So it's like female best friends, one of them man, one of them, and women rally together to deal with the horrible man. But it was entertaining. I just can't remember the name. And the attendant, there's a scene where the woman was walking through. There are these iconic scenes or these scenes that would resonate with you. A more popular one might be like The Devil's Wear Prada, where, did I say that right? It sounded like I said the devils to me. The Devil Wears Prada. When Meryl Streep, one of my favorite actresses, since she starred in Death Becomes Her amazing film, she said, by all means, move at a glacial pace. And every time she would say, okay. Yeah, I liked those, I liked that stood out. Now in this movie, digressing a lot today, I took Hemerexin for energy and it seems to be working. So yeah, so coming back, there's the scene where the woman is, this is the other movie, the original one I was talking about, like with the Little Women, and she was walking through a department store and an attendant tries to sell her wrinkle cream, and she says, are you interested in our whatever age defying serum? And she was like, bitch, this is my face, deal with it. And I never forget that. It's like, wow, that's so empowering and cool and all that. And that lady in the paper with the Bankers Association of Trinidad and Tobago, she had her face up like that, like, this is me. And to me, it looks sexy. And then the other one that was not like the other, oh, it had no redeeming quality on that one. Something was very, very wrong. I don't know who took that picture of her. I don't know who sent that photo in. I don't know if maybe it printed really, 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 really badly, or maybe it bled, or maybe the color did. It was so bad, and everybody else looked good. So it's like one of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. It's what the and the editor couldn't send her a little WhatsApp or something. I find that is wickedness, dread, because all your friend and family, you would have, hey, the papers, and they're gonna see that, and they're gonna be like, oh, okay, it look nice, and you go feel it. I find that wickedness, that real wickedness. It had another one too, but that one not as. It was just these athletes, and you would think that I would be interested in the fact that they did good in their race and all of that. But I couldn't help but notice that I couldn't tell if it wasn't for the face, if it was males or females. And that was just amusing to me. Quite frankly, again, the editor should have cropped out their crotch, in my opinion, because I have no idea exactly why. Maybe they were wearing cups, but they had a bigger bulge than me in them tights. And I was entertained. I was amused greatly. Quite frankly, I was. But they should have cropped the photo. That wasn't the point of it. And again, it is. I think it was teenagers, so they're gonna be real self-conscious. People might have called them names, all kind of thing. Because I even shared the photo to some people to see their reaction, cropping out the top half of it, and they were like, I don't know. One person said it's a male and a female because they're smart, so obviously they will get 50%. And but most people really did not know, and some people simply said, why are you sending me a male crutch? And of course, that just added to the joke for me. But I digress. That was the least of the important things that stood out to me, quite frankly. But it was the most entertaining, Because another thing that stood out was I don't know what part of the paper this was because to me it said news. The newspaper has different sections: recreation, opinion, commentary, sport, world digest, Venezuelan, well, Spanish news, Latin America, I think they call it, the headlines. It have some shorts, the classifieds, comics, the obia section where you just get your horoscopes and stuff. And to me, this was news, but it was one of those like, dear Clementine, my man owning me what to do. And I don't know why that was there, but I was already halfway through it, reading it, because it was in the news section. And I was like, okay, well, I done in it already. I want to see how this ends. So, the way how the story was, and it not funny, sorry, I should have intro it with a more somber tone, maybe something like this. But that's not the mood I'm in today. Maybe I should get endorsement from Hemorrexin. And what had happened is that this guy son that he was raising for 6 years, if the guy and his son and the story even legit, is not his own, his family keep telling him that child is not your own, that child right there is not your own, you get horn. And he was like, no, 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 no. And I was the only man. I'm the only one she wants. I had a real good mood with this one. And I didn't even drink. Um, but the DNA test, eventually, he thieved the child. And you see, it have one of them Tyler Perry movies have this in it, with one of the Tyler Perry movies with Janet Jackson. I think, Why Did I Get Married? One, I think, have this in it, right? But anyway, he thieved the child. Another one had it in it too. The one with it's another Tyler Perry movie. The one with the black woman was sleeping with the her boss, the white man, and the son was the boss son. She's like, my son is cat right, and then the man slapped she so hard she fly over the counter, and I was surprised they leave that scene in. But yeah. Oh, what was the name of that one? That was a good movie though. That was a good movie. But coming back to where we were. So he thieved the child, meaning take the child secretly, get DNA test, and it is not his child. And he writing, like what to do. He's so depressed, he don't know what to do because he not even studying the betrayal from the girlfriend. What he really studying is that he already loved this child, and the child is not his. And of course, you have by him doing the paternity test, you kind of rescinded his rights to the child, depending on who want to interpret what. You created that situation or the potential for that situation, but his name should have been on the birth paper. So, but anyway, so we have that to think about as well. And I was thinking, damn, we ain't talking about the woman, we're talking about the child, because that is the only father the child ever know. That is his son, that is his only son. And well, evidently not. And I don't know, that's a real, I don't add that. I don't even, I really don't, that's a, ooh, yeah. So, like I said, by this time I was done into the story. I said, I don't know what is doing in the news section, but in it, where's the advice? And the advice was that at the end of the day, you are the father that this child has known. And I'm sure that the son still loves you. You love your son. So he is the exact same son that you always loved. He didn't change, nor did he lie to you. And I was thinking, as beautiful as that sounds, what you gonna do if the child actual father show up one day? Because remember, the actual father don't know. He might want a son too, right? And I mean, like we said, the father is me. I wanted children since I was 16. I don't really care about the bond you have with my child. I would take my child, maybe in 5 to 10 years, I would be like, oh shucks, and I will consider your feelings by making real rap for my child. And what will happen to this man? And he don't have a claim. So whew, that was thing, and then she went on to say that she has seen couples survive things like this. If you want to stay in the relationship, you have to think about if you trust her or you're willing to forgive her and yada yada. I don't know, she didn't really resonate with me. I didn't really business because they would have had to have a relationship before and they would have had to have a relationship for 6 years. So all you really need to know is that this person capable of lying to you, as far as I'm concerned. And if it is, you want to trust them or not, because at the end of the day, you was perfectly fine. It's your family that went and jackass the scene and make you the paternity test, but you was fine. It should rowdy nonsense hemorrhage into. That is why you have to be very vigilant at the content that you expose yourself to because it resonates in your subconscious. Anyway, so that's a kachoo right there, and I urge you as the listener to think as to what you would do, not necessarily in a situation like that. Don't focus on the bacchanal and the comments or the lacquery, but to focus on you being in an impossible situation and having to be responsible for things that you didn't even put yourself in, especially emotionally. Like how, because it's good for you to have that thought now. It's kind of like you have an evacuation plan or earthquake plan or a layoff lifeline, something like that. A contingency plan is good to think as to what you would do in a situation like that when you are not in a situation so that you'll be able to function. Because at the end of the day, life does go on, regardless of. And there are consequences for both your action and your inaction. Because while this man up in his feelings as he should be, remember this boy, his son don't know what going on. He don't know what he do wrong. He just feeling this rejection. And then at 6, he's still in that first 7 years where everything, where you're being programmed, as I call it. You receive your programming, your foundation for the type of person that you're going to be in your first 7 years of existence. So that's a big trauma to go through. He probably should have waited. And this is why it is I said to think. He probably should about what you would do in a situation like that. I'm sorry to be having two sentences at the same time. But that is why you should have a plan because he could have waited 2 more years, let the boy be 8, and the child would already have that mental foundation. It wouldn't have the collateral damage to the child as well. Could I even wait until the child was 10, 12, 13 and do the paternity test as well? At the end of the day, nothing gonna change. And at 13, the child will have perfect understanding of everything and be calm and cool and collected and all of that. As a matter of fact, you could probably discuss it with the child by the time that they are 13 as well. But whatever emotional, in particular situation you're in, or whatever situation that you are in that you find yourself dependent on, you should really have a backup plan as to how to deal with the trauma of that situation dissolving or just not being what you thought it would be. It has nothing to do with trust or faith, it's just fact. So I get all of that from that Comestville article. And if it's a real person, I really wish him the best and whatever he decides to do. And speaking of emotion, I it has only now come to my attention because it happened a while ago, about a week, that Ian Allen is no longer on CNC3 again. And I am like, I would, I remember when, and a lot of people still do this, everything is hush hush, especially embarrassing things. Everything is hush hush, quiet. If you get fired or you didn't do good in a test or you didn't do good in work or your assessment or your appraisal. And I just wonder, well, how it is he lives like that now. How it is he is okay being out there, that kind of a thing, How I just wonder, and I hope that he too is emotionally okay because CNC3 kick him out, and they call him back, and he went, and now they said that they part amicably, but unless it is they kick him out, and this time he kicked them out, so he feeling good. I don't know, but I do wish him the best in his career as well. And I guess maybe I kind of in the same boat with him as well. He's kind of like a visual podcaster. Can't really call that a sit down show. That's just Ian Allen does. But yeah, just prepare for whatever you're dependent on. If it's not there, how you going to deal with it? And it's not, I'm going to be strong and I'm going to be. No, is, well, I'm going to break down. So I'm going to schedule my breakdowns at this time. So, and then I'll function. And this is how I'll deal with myself. This is how I would counsel myself. Or maybe I'll go to a counselor, get a therapist. You plan for it. But we don't plan for nothing. Because in this same paper, apparently the police in Pinal, Santa Flora, and a couple of the places in that area are getting COVID from immigrants that they have to house in the police station, that they have to do so without them getting a COVID test. I'm not even going to go into the fields on a story like that because it's obviously fuckery. And I already did a rant on fuckery. So, cut, paste, send, that's self-explanatory. And I don't even know why this take these people so long to make decisions. For example, man borrow car run into a bar 10 years ago or 12 years ago. Too long ago for it to now be settled. Kill a man, and all this time they're taking just to make a decision on who liable and who had to pay. And on top of that is who liable, who had to pay. Oh, right. And on top of that, it had 21 pages to this judgment. What he asked you had to say in 21 minutes? Look at how much points I just make in 30 something. I don't think. Maybe it's like a transcript. Maybe if you transcribe all of this, you will get 20 some pages. Wait is you had to say so that doesn't teach you to be concise. You have nothing to do. Or you write 2 pages a year. And that's how you get it 21. Anyway. So, man 1 sell man 2 his car. Man 2 rent it out to man 3. Man 3 crash into a bar and kill man 4. And man 1, 2, and 3 passing the buck as to who liable. And man 1 had the car insured with Maritime, and Maritime said they ain't gonna pay nobody because they insured the car to man 1, not man 2 or man 3. And man 1 said that I told them that I was selling the car, and man 2 said that man 3 didn't have his permission to use the car. So the judge said man 1, man 2, and man 3 all are only living within stone's throw of each other, all they on shit. All they fully well know what was going on. And you, Mr. Maritime, at the end of the day, the car was insured by you. You accept the risk of any shit that could happen with the car. Pay the people $1 million. So $1 million after 10 years though? But then they said that what they was doing was working out how much money the man would have made in his life. And I'm still saying that's all he would have made in his life though. And then they compared to the maximum amount you could get for a car situation, a car claim. And it's a little bit over. The maximum is $1 million and it's a little over $1 million. So I was like, alright. But then I was thinking, why they asked Maritime didn't settle this 10 years ago? How much? But then they probably have a legal department on retainers, so it didn't carry up their cost in any way. So you mean to say these people had was to be fighting for 10 years? You can't really put the memory of somebody to rest and move on. Which comes back to the same thing. This is the life that we live in. This is our society. You have to be prepared to deal with something like that. You have to be prepared to deal with like being a relative of Sean Luke. You have to really prepare for things like this to live your life and deal with the emotional trauma of something like that. It's disgustingly amazing. And then you came across a woman who she wasn't prepared for shit. And I guess that is love, because I don't know now. I don't know. I wouldn't want to be in that situation at all. That bitch better be with it. I ain't lying to say it have very few people in my life whose shit I would really put up with. That bitch had to be with it. She gone and get she two legs amputated. She was diabetic. She was eating like crap. They tell her stop eating like crap. She say I like my crap. It's one life to live. All right, she get diabetic. Right? She's still YOLOing. All right. Then she mash up she fufu now, and or she mash her fufu now because the foot get infected, and they had to cut it off from the knee. You know the. Uh, I don't want to say the bitch, but you know she then went on to mash something else with she one good foot, and that had to get amputated too. And then she man had to leave work and take care of her. I don't even know how it is the eating or feeding themselves. And on top of that, they have an autistic child. And she's saying how God have a purpose for her life. Girl, I admire the faith. Yes, I real like it. I real there with you with the faith, but that is all. And that is one situation I wouldn't want to hear anybody in. I don't know. Obviously, the man can't leave because they have a child and all of that, and assume he must be in love and but I don't understand. And I sorry, I was going and get some wheels for you to put on your stubs. I wasn't for better or worse and all of that, yes, but that don't mean I going and wait on you hand and foot. You was getting some pampers. I'm very sorry. You will get some pampers and some wheels, maybe a skateboard. We would lower all the countertops to ground height. You could get a posy, but you had to live your life on your stumps now. I would assist you, but this is not our life. This is the life we sharing together, yours and mine. One foot, all right, okay, because the one foot come after you get one and after you get diabetes. So one foot, I deal with you, but the second foot, no, darling. We will go down, we'll refinance the mortgage on the house, we'll redo the house to meet your level now, and you will get some wheels and handle your life. And we would share our stories like what you do today. Well, boy, I see something in the corner here that was missing for the last 5 years, but at this level, you could find, yes, yes, and that's about it. However, it does show me the good in humanity. That we still do things like that, and we like each other that much, and that sort of thing, especially since yesterday's newspaper was so depressing. And the last one that stood out is that TNT footballers going to get a new uniform, but they coming from fucking Miami, and I don't understand why we care so. The government have CXC is seamstress, and tailoring is a subject. UTT have designing as a degree. Nobody in this country could have make them blasted uniform. How Miami getting it? Was anybody else considered? And if it is nobody here suitably qualified to make a uniform that is worthy of international wearing, then what are we doing to fix that, to make this the last time that some but other country had to? I mean, it's a matter of pride. Yes, it's a global economy, but this is my house. Anyway, I enjoyed speaking with you today. I really did. I fully endorse Hemerexon because that's the only thing that I changed, and I feel fantastic. And share, subscribe to the vibe, comment towards our betterment, and just do the best that you could do. Oh, vibes.